Good evening. We'd like to call this Court of Common Council public comment meeting to order for today on October 10th, 2023. Each person wishing to address the council committee therefore shall, upon recognition by the presiding officers, give his or her name, address, and if he or she represents a group. In addition, you shall state for the record your name, address of said group or organization, and shall limit his or her remarks to 3 minutes. Our Councilman John Gale will be our timekeeper, and we shall follow the list accordingly as signed up. The first person to speak is Hyacinth Yenny.
Hello and good evening, everyone. Hope you're doing well this evening. It's a beautiful evening. Okay, I'm Hyacinth Yenny, and chair of the Maple Avenue Revitalization Group. So I'm here to say how sad I am about the fact that within our city department, some department is just not doing what they're supposed to do. We as community leaders been trying to identify things that need to get done in our community, and it's like they're not getting done. And I'm saying, you know, if I could just go and do it myself, I would. And I'm going to give you an example. So a couple of weeks ago or months ago, I called in and complained about a little house that becomes a bodega right in a residential area, a couple feet away from another bodega. I've called and I've said, could we do something about it? Okay, well, a letter was sent to this person to cease and desist, okay? However, this person hasn't ceased and desist. This person opened up with ATM machine, you know, every little snack and knack that he could put in that little store. And you know the worst part about it? He's not even registered in the state. He's not even registered in the city, all right? But he's doing business in our city, okay? Causing more problem for us. Then you have a little barbershop out of a bus that sits on a city property that's doing full-blown business, parking right at the corner where every car comes and stops. And that's his entrance to the business. He also is not registered to do business. That is supposed to have gone to the health department. Well, I'm not sure if anybody is working in the health department because nobody seems to do anything about it. And the list goes on and on. So I'm just wondering, are we at a standstill at this moment in the city? Stop working? I mean, you know, you might have one or two people actually doing the work and some other people just not doing anything at all. As council members, I'm hoping that you guys will look into some of these issues that the neighborhood has brought up and nothing is getting done, all right? So those are some of my regular issues. All right, so the next thing on my agenda would be who is really watching out for our city, okay? We as residents can only do so much to a point, and then we reach that frustration point where we wonder if anyone is really working. And is it because of lack of staffing? I'm not sure what it really is, but I'm asking somebody from the council to check things out to make sure that we're still a working city. The other thing is I am here to support 6.4 for the red light camera to make sure it goes to committee and make sure that we look at other places where red light is really working and kind of piggyback on some of what they're doing that is good. We do not want to put something together that at the end of the day we get sued for everything. One more minute, please. I'm getting, and then one more thing quickly. I want to see if we can do a resolution around, you know, preventing people from smoking around playgrounds, because it's disgusting going to a playground and have to sit there with children playing in the playground with all this smoke coming to them. I think it's a health hazard. And as a city, we need to do something about it. Just like we're saying, is our city healthy? Like the hair salon and the beauty, the nail place, all those places are not getting inspected because we don't have anyone going out to make sure these things are good, doing the right thing for our city. So let's look at those things and do something about it, because that's what matters to majority of us in the city. We want to see a working city and something good happening. Okay? Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you very much. Thomas Kenny.
Hey, everyone. Oh. Checking. Okay. Oh. All right. Hey, everyone. I live on Asylum Avenue, 967 Asylum Avenue, apartment 2H. Been here most of my life. So prepared a little quick speech, and I'll keep it short because it is a little bit long, but I'll email all of you. Hey, Nick. So today I stand before you to address a critical issue plaguing our city and our communities, the Hartford Land Bank, and the challenges it faces. Alyssa Peterson sent you all an email today and wanted to kind of briefly discuss it. So the Hartford Land Bank was established as a means to address blight and create housing opportunities for low to moderate income communities. However, as outlined in an email that was sent out by Alyssa, there are significant concerns regarding its operations and its decisions. And one of the key issues raised is a lack of due diligence by Hartford Land Bank's actions. And as what was pointed out, the instances where valuable properties were transferred to unknown LLCs, dissolved LLCs, or even to deceased people, literally. And the loan guarantees were approved without proper scrutiny. These actions undermine the trust that public places in the Hartford Land Bank, undermine the trust that public places in the Hartford Land Bank have to manage properties effectively and in the best interest of the community. There's also some questions about contracts awarded from former board members and allegations of insider dealings. Literally, one of the Hartford Community Loan Fund loan officers got a property from the Hartford Land Bank. Makes 0 cents. Literally, 0 cents. And I work 20 hours a day. So if me and my team had to go out and investigate stuff, it makes no sense. You guys should be doing your due diligence, not me and other Hartford residents working to the crack of dawn, researching all this stuff. I'm gonna keep this short, but this whole thing is just a reminder that we must be vigilant and very proactive, especially you as elected officials, in holding organizations like the Hartford Land Bank accountable for their actions and ensuring that they fulfill their mission, that they took taxpayer money, state taxpayer money that was bonded to do all their missions. And all of this needs to benefit our community. We talk about economic impact, we need to think about people impact. I'm gonna just keep it at that. I'll email you guys all my speech, but that's all I got right now. Sorry. Just one last thing. I am bringing some activist groups next month for public comment. Unfortunately, there's been a lot of hurdles trying to navigate bringing them all here today, but next month.
Thank you, sir. Next up on our list is Lou Santana. Lou Santana. Lou Santana. Okay, we'll come back. Donna Swar. Donna Swar on? No. We'll come back. Dr. Larry Deutsch.
Yes, hello. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Oh, good. Oh, good. Greetings to all. And my little comments are shortened with great gratitude to Hyacinth Yenny and to Alyssa Peterson and to Thomas Kennedy, who just spoke. These are all crucial issues. First and foremost, as the City Council well knows, is that I, as a health advocate and a physician, are very concerned about the nail salons and the hair salons. And I have sent many people, and many in council included, documentation that there are increased cancer rates, especially ovarian cancer in women, when they work full-time in those nail salons with vapors, which are not healthy, or hair treatment individuals. The vapors are dangerous, and that can be helped by good outdoor ventilation with the regulation and the ordinance that we passed. We passed an ordinance, and many other cities and even countries have regulations for avoid exposure to these things that have vapors. You know, like they say on the glue containers, do not use in a space that's not well ventilated. And when you have those little fans with blue masks, they don't do the job. So my first point, which I've made several times and I've sent emails to City Council, is that it's dangerous unless you have good enforcement and regulation of healthy conditions in the nail and hair salons. These are not just the little fans and the little blue masks, which don't do the job properly. The next thing I like to mention once again, I've been asking many times that the city grant a cost of living increase for retirees. It hasn't happened in the last 18 years, believe it or not, even though it's common policy to give employees a cost of living increase if they're on a pension or retired or something. Social Security does it. The other thing is I want to express appreciation also to Mr. Kenny, who just spoke about the land bank and making sure that those parcels do not get sold to out-of-town developers who are in it for the money, not for the health of the neighborhood. And so we don't want just a bidding process where any big developer out of New York or Pennsylvania, who knows where, can bid on these and then hold the land in their, for their own development and profit purposes. That pretty much sums it, I think. And when you vote, by the way, you vote in a couple of weeks, ask the candidates exactly what their positions are and what they will do to enforce and have legislation, because the city is responsible for the health and safety of its residents. Everyone's supposed to know that, and that means funding for the health department, insisting that whoever becomes mayor enforce these regulations and laws so that healthy conditions do not endanger people's lives. And that's what it is. When you breathe these vapors, you can die from anemia, cancer, and so on and so forth. So I urge the council to act and not to postpone, which the committees have already done twice, to postpone legislation on the hair salons and so on and so forth, and haven't even taken up the cost of living increase to benefit those retirees who might need it. Not the old wealthy ones in Florida, which they keep saying, but the ones who live right here in the city and have dedicated much of their lives to serving the city. They deserve at least keeping up with inflation. Don't you think so? Ask the candidates in the next couple of weeks exactly what they will do on those issues. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Deutsch. Next up, Alyssa Peterson.
Good evening, Council. Alyssa Peterson, 297 Grandview Terrace. I've just got some notes here. I'm going to go through some items. It's the end of the year. It's almost the end of the term here for you. I wanted to thank you. There's a rarity. Thank you for removing the item about Andalib. I wrote a very detailed email last month, and it was an abomination to have this Andalib Enterprises as the star developer on Albany Avenue. I believe the due diligence done was very poor. I'm not discouraging the gentleman, but I think more needed to be looked at into that property and that proposal. Second, thank you to Thomas for acknowledging my email about Hartford Land Bank. I'm not going to go into detail tonight. I really like you to take a look at it. And I would like to work going forward with making changes to how it's operating. I think it really needs, it's not sustainable at the rate that they burn through money now for such a few properties, and I'd like to see it go back to its original mission of serving low-income and moderate income families. Second, last week I had a FOIA hearing at the state regarding a request I made involving our city lobbyist, Janice Fleming. I was shocked to learn that there are no records of any of your texts, no records of phone calls of mayor, council people, nothing to our city lobbyist. I am challenging the veracity of what the Corporation Council presented. I think she presented false information. But I just want to give you a heads up that I will be submitting a letter to you and challenging what the city presented, and I hope that you read it and take action accordingly. I think a resolution can actually be had there. The last item is I want to follow on what former Councilman Deutsch, who I'm grateful that he always shows up at these meetings, and what Hyacinth said. There seems to be a lack of oversight personnel, specifically licensing. I don't know what happened to everybody. Maybe they're leaving because of the Bronin administration is going, but we seem to not have enough people in license and inspections, sanitation, and other areas of the city that need examination. We've offered in the South End to be the sample or the example for you to set up programs there and start small, where you can go after barbershops, go after nails, and I don't mean go after, I mean review nail salons, review barbershops, review mechanics, garages acting poorly, people parking on their front lawn, whatever is going on in this city that requires oversight, license oversight, tickets. Really, it feels like it's a city out of control. And I think that the example, I just sent 5 more photos, 5 more examples to City Hall last week about the barber shop and a bus, a pop-up bodega on White and Hillside, and some other issues that we've addressed that just seem to go nowhere. I am sorry that we are down-staffed, but this council, I'd like to conclude my statements by saying, this is the end of your term, this council, this particular council. I'm going to reach out to the council president. I'd like to see your community liaison, Kelly Kirkley-Bay, whom we all know is extremely efficient. I'd like to see her put together a list of our concerns that have not been addressed or completed. I don't think it's unreasonable, and I think it's a very effective way to try and address, to close out over the next 60 days, permitting problems, complaints, parking issues, dumping issues, the nail salon, some pop-up restaurants we have. I mean, it's really quite extraordinary to see how the city feels like it's gotten out of control. And I don't want to have to keep asking the police, for their help. I've put some solutions forward. I'll email them to you. I did email them to city staff, but I do want to support both former Councilman Deutsch and Hyacinth, the chair of our NRZ. Licensing and permitting is just something we have to review, and thank you so much for listening.
Thank you. Angela Harris.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to speak briefly on 3 issues this evening. The cannabis revenue resolution, blighted buildings, and graffiti. As a follow-up to the special joint meeting of the Planning, Economic Development, Housing, and Operations Management, Budget, and Government Accountability Committees last Wednesday, October 4th, there was a resolution presented on the proposed use of tax revenues generated from cannabis sales. And I would like to make sure, hopefully, that you all are amending that proposed resolution to include the use of those funds to be open to all organizations providing services for those re-entering our community from incarceration, and particularly those previous Hartford residents, that those funds be directed to support former Hartford residents coming back. And that, again, it be an open process and not just those folks that have privy to a previous agreement when the, and I don't know that that agreement was an open process when the Welcome Center moved from City Hall, I don't know, in the dark of night to Windsor Street. I'm not sure how that open that process was, but again, I hope you all are revisiting the language to include all organizations providing employment, workforce development, housing, and so forth. There are a lot of organizations throughout the city that provide those services. Blighted buildings. Unfortunately, I lift condolences to those that experienced the tragic loss of life on Clark Street this past week at the elderly housing unit at 35 Clark Street. Again, condolences to those families. I went by and am just disheartened that that elderly housing complex is shuttered on the left by a boarded up church and on the right by a dormant boarded up school. I would implore that you all as council folks this term or next support proposals that will be addressing the blight of non-residential structures. The community will be presenting plans for several of these structures, and I would hope that you would review those plans and support them and prioritize the use of funds and all the tax incentives that you'll provide for outside developers that come into the city. You would do the same for those that are looking to develop in our neighborhoods. And finally, in addition to that, but also in the meantime, addressing the poor lighting. And also I have a question as to whether any resources were deployed to those residents at that unit to deal with the trauma that they could be experiencing at the tragic loss of those two gentlemen that lived there. And then finally, just graffiti. It's out of control, and I see no directed, proactive addressing of cleaning it up. And it's a poor image of Hartford, and it's all over the city, including downtown, on light boxes, buildings, property that's being used, blighted properties that are vacant. It's everywhere. And street signs, it's everywhere. There is no, as far as I can see, movement towards addressing it, and it really needs to be done. And I would appreciate it if you all could put that on your priority list because it impacts the quality of life for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you. Up next, we have Brother Kelvin Lovejoy. Brother Lovejoy. Okay, he's not on. I see Vicky Fennell. Ms. Fennell, would you like to address the council? No? All right. Just circling back to those that signed up to speak. Lou Santana. Donna Swore. I'll circle back to Ms. Fennell. Ms. Vicky Fennell, can you hear us? Would you like to address the council? Okay. Seeing that we have no other names that have been submitted to sign up to speak at this public comment portion of the Court of Common Council meeting, the public comment portion is now adjourned. We will reconvene at 7 o'clock for the City Council meeting.